Alright, what is up YouTube? Justin here, back with another Dev Diary update here on Meritocracy. It sounds like I got something in my voice, but don't know what that would be. Anyway, there are 3 new Dev Diaries today. 2 of them are actually pretty quick and easy, and then this one is the big, fancy, fun one. It says that in the little thing when you open it up. So anyway, let's go into Forging a Bloodline. This one's actually pretty straightforward and simple. Basically, bloodlines can be unlocked and created through various means. We already know that, sainthood can give you a bloodline, and certain empires and stuff can give you a bloodline. However, you can now get a bloodline through, well, sometimes just very simple actions. And by simple, I mean, things that basically any character can do. If you get 5,000 prestige, you can actively open up a forged bloodline ambition. You just have that much prestige that you can go ahead and do that, and it opens up like a little chain of things that you can do. Even has events that when you do them, it actually can affect how things work out in the future, which I think is very interesting. Specifically with that event chain, it kind of by making certain choices, it changes how other choices can work out. They're not really too specific about how bloodline event chains work, like what events are happening, like if you're having a spiritual journey, or if you're like, I'm gonna go burn a village or something. I don't know. They're not really specific. They do say that there are different types of bloodlines. Like, for example, this one, pursuing the murder path will lead you to gain one of the 4 different murder-related bloodlines. So, whatever that means. I don't know what you're going to be murdering for that particularly, but anyway, the point of the matter is, you can customize your bloodline to whatever you need it to be. And each one has different little abilities. One of them actually says, like, there's a passive ability where you can influence the younger relatives and have, better diplomacy and dynasty within your realm. There's another one they were showing off that had a better ability of like blocking factions and things like that. So that'll be something to explore. Oh yeah, and it also says some of the other ways you can get it. Build a legend as a warrior lodge hero, perform impressive feats, restoring Israel, etc. I'm sure restoring Rome gives you an automatic bloodline. So things like that. The next one that's again kind of a small one is just some of the clergy stuff has been revamped. The gist of it is they have unhard-coded clergy action, specifically with the Pope. So now it's not like, well, what they use as an example is vassal popes won't always give you things, and independent popes won't always hate you, which seems to always be the issue. That unless your wife is like excommunicated and you have sucked up to the Pope super hard, he will not let you have a divorce. Now the Pope will actually take into account like your opinion in relation with him, and what's your status of your wife? Is she infertile? Are you not able to make a an heir? Are you incredibly pious? Is there a reason for this? Like, he'll actually take that into account. Same with other favors that the Pope will be able to grant. That's the main thing they tried to break down with that. The other one is apparently they've opened up the cardinal seats a little bit more, so you can, again, if the Pope likes you, you can be like, hey, give me more seats in the cardinalship, and they'll be like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Oh, I actually forgot about this one I've looked over this a couple times now, and I forgot about this. So yeah, the request claim interaction has been given a new interface to make it more intuitive and accessible to players. So yeah, you can just, I think you can just go up to, yeah, it says you can go up to the religious view, press a button, it'll show you all the titles he's willing to grant you a claim on. That's kind of nice, actually. I did not remember that being there. Oh, and the Cardinal Outfits have changed. This, actually, I really appreciate, because I hate looking at, like, okay, who's on the Cardinal Council? Who's this guy? Where's he at in the world? Yeah, you can just click go to location and stuff, but now it's kind of nice that it's like, not only do they look like cardinals, instead of, like a peasant with bald spots and all that crap, it's like you can now actually go out into the world and be like, oh, that priest is a cardinal. Okay, good to know. Also, I'm going to go burn that church down. So, anyway, that's all there is for the clergy interaction. Really, it's just, they broke the hard code on it, which is kind of nice. This is the big one. By big, I mean actual size. To me, I'm not going to downplay this. This is really important, the way they've done this, because I've never liked elective succession. However, I've never used elective succession because of that. So, I know a lot of people love elective succession, so we're going to go ahead and try to hit all the main points of this one. Well, as I said here, they've scrapped the old one, they replaced it with a new one. So, they've worked it where different religious groups and different governments will have different forms and ways of modifying their electorate. The first thing I will mention is now it's heavily moddable, so you can actually have a bunch more mods out there. That's half the reason they did it. So they broke the code down to be able to do that. So here's your code. So you can go look that up if you really want it. But now, one of the best things they do... Oh, and they did this to the Pope. I missed this. I'm sorry. One of the best things they've done is they don't just say if the person's for or against you. They tell you why they're for or against you, so that you actually can know what it is you can try to work on to be able to, you know, help them vote in your favor. Same with the Pope. It will tell you why he doesn't like you, and from there you can infer what you can do to be able to make things better with him. So that's one of my favorite things they've done with breaking the hard code on these, is you can actually work with these things. So there are different types of elective. I think this one they're specifically calling it, yeah, there's feudal elective, there's, well, no, feudal elective is what they've always had. Never mind. There are different types of electives. We'll get into that later. They're coming up. But yeah, so now they also, not only does it come with, you know, what they like and dislike, it does depend on, again, who your heir is. And from there, well, you can try to work it out to be able to manipulate who you get elected in the realm. So, and I think it also depends, I don't think this one does, but some of these other ones will also depend on what positions they have in your council, as well as minor titles. They're actually taking a little bit into account the minor titles. So, let's see. Yeah, so the basic election system, they've changed. Oh, I'm sorry. There's also the, I'm skipping around all over the place today. There is also the opinion thing here is a static, I think it's a static, negative, and I'm not getting the words right, but it's like a static, peaceful, and negative. So, you know, good, neutral, bad. A static means basically they love you. They're going to vote for your candidate. They're going to stick with you. They're not going to ask for favors, things like that. Negative, probably going to vote against you. Neutral, they're generally going to vote for you, but, you know, they can be influenced one way or another. And you can use favors now to have people vote for your elector. So that actually is nice. I was always wondering if they could do that before. Apparently not, so now they can. Eldership. This is the one actually I'm a little more into. So Removan, it's specifically Removan and West African religions. They can have what's called an eldership instead of your gavel kind and elective gavel kind. Other pagan groups can have it as well. It's just they have to, when they reform their religion, they have to put the ability in to do it. So it all depends on religion. That's what revolves around. But the difference between eldership and other electives is eldership picks the 6 eldest people, and it says eldest and wisest people in the realm. I don't know if learning actually has to do with it, but the 6 eldest people in the realm, and from them they choose who your next person's going to be. So you have to actually schmooze the eldest people in the realm, and it kind of, you know, it shows off how important that ranking was back in the day. So, oh, could be wrong. The static's always here. Oh, well, I think the system works on both ends, but regardless, the point here is there's 6 electors here. This one depends on, you know, who they are in the realm and their ranking. Let's see, yeah, just please elders, and yeah, there it is. So yeah, Baltic and African realms start with eldership. They've said it ties into religion, so it's Removan and African. Princely elective. This one, I will admit, I didn't understand very well because I don't play as the HRE very much, or when I have, I've never noticed how the elective succession works. But essentially what it is a princely elective takes into account, I think it's only tied to the HRE. Yeah, it's only tied to the HRE. It takes into account the titles that certain people have when considering them for Empire. Namely, these ones. Bishopric of Mainz, Cologne, Trier, and then certain duchies. So, yeah, it does say, you know, if it doesn't exist, the Dutch doesn't exist, and something else will replace it. But essentially, if you hold certain titles, you're considered more qualified for the realm. And then it even says, yeah, theocratic Catholic electors have twice as much voter strength than secular electors. So, and then, yeah, you can still change it off, but they have made it where the elective succession for the HRE is much more desirable for your vassals, so you're going to see that faction pop up more. Also, an important note is the Imperial elective as well. I actually thought it blended to the HRE, but it does not. So HRE has this very special election law purely on its own, princely elective. It's only for the HRE. Imperial elective is for empires only, and by the empire government, I mean that little purple circle there. That means Byzantine or Roman Empire. They're the only ones that get the imperial government. It ties straight to the titles. You can't make it on your own unless you are Byzantine or the Roman empires. Imperial Elective is a little different, and Rome and the Byzantine Empire both have differences in how those play out. So, for starters, succession, the people who are able to be candidates, they're actually not just your family members, but anyone else who holds claim to a title, your marshal, and any commanders you have. So they actually make it where the commanders are important in all this. I find that interesting. But regardless, with that being that way, you have to be able to woo over all these different people in order to, get on the realm, or get in the realm who you want to be as your successor. It does say later on that they won't really take kids, no matter how, because they don't care about, I guess in the imperial laws, they don't actually care as much about family as much as they do about prestige. So if someone has more prestige, they're going to generally vote for that person more. I don't think it's like an Elective government where they pick just the highest prestige person. But, the point is, they don't care whose bloodline or family you're part of. They care about how good are you. So like it says, if your emperor's not born in the purple, deformed, or crippled, you even have, as the empire, less influence and less votes over your vassals because you don't even have that much prestige. So, just something to be aware of. They also say right here, minor titles can actually affect the character's voting power, because the voting power, as you can see, scales depending on the person's attributes. I think it actually says diplomacy and martial score. So, martial applies, gets kind of confusing here. So, the martial score is important for both Roman and Byzantine empires. And then in the Byzantine Empire, a higher intrigue score is more important, while in the Roman Empire, a higher diplomacy score is more important. And I can't remember what the reason was for the Byzantine Empire, except for the fact that historically, there was some sketchy stuff going on. But the Roman Empire, they have more, a leaning towards orators and famous speakers. Therefore, diplomacy is more important. Also, when it comes to the voting power of some of your electors, it also depends on their stats and rank as well. So a really good commander is going to have better voting power than a really low commander. And as it says here, a steward with higher stewardship is more influential than an incompetent one. So, yeah, by having good people in your council, it's kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, if they like you, they have higher voting power towards you. If they dislike you, they have higher voting power against you. Another important point they actually mentioned was that right here they're saying heroes and sycophants. So, their example is basically, you have a good commander, but he doesn't like you. So what do? You kick him out. Okay, and you put in like a commander that's not really that good, but he likes you. Problem is, that commander that doesn't really like you, not only do they not have as much voting power, but people will notice that, and will also either have a higher chance of voting... Oh, no, I'm sorry, they don't vote against you. People will notice that, and you have less voting power. So if you start putting in puppets for like the commanders and stuff, they will actually lower your voting power, so you have less influence, which I find interesting. So... And also, again, yeah, bringing back up that point about prestige and them not electing a child, it does affect how they run things. So they actually say that, you don't want to try to nominate your child. You probably want to nominate, like, your uncle or something, and then keep kind of waiting around until your child's old enough, and then try to nominate them. You also have to give them minor titles, help them do important things like that. There's a lot of different things that go into how the Byzantine and Roman empires do their elective. They've made it very dynamic. So that's just something that when it comes out, we're going to have to be able to play with. The final thing is a strong claim duel. And I think this is only open to pagans, right? Tribals. Only tribals. And it's after, it doesn't say regular Gavelkind, it just says elective Gavelkind. So important note there, you got to be elective still. But what happens is, say there's been an elective Gavelkind, and I want to say you have to have lost, and, you're not the leader of the realm. It could be, I'm sure it could be that, your realm has split up, and you've won, but then your brother took the other duchy title. Basically what it is you don't have to be war focused, you don't have to be in a warrior large, you have the right to duel him for the other part of that realm. It is kind of a double or nothing deal. If you are playing and you win, you get everything. And you kill the other guy. You can choose to let him live, I'm sure, but you kill the other guy. If you lose, if it's a human, well, good luck, you're on your own. But if you're playing against the computer and you lose the duel, you actually can choose to play the game as the kinsman or whoever that actually won. You can choose to say, no, I lost, GG, good game, but otherwise they actually give you the option to actually play as him, which I think is, I highly appreciate that. So, that's all they've got for now. They did mention one last thing. All these elective changes do not affect Merchant Republics. The reason for that is the Merchant Republic system's a little different. They didn't say they aren't touching Merchant Republics this DLC. They just said it wasn't in this particular diary. So I'm very curious if they're going to do anything with Merchant Republics. And apparently, for the record, they have hinted that the Islamic states are going to get at least some sort of revamp. Whether it just be portraits or names or something like that. They are getting a slight touch-up here in a little bit. I'm curious what they're going to do. I particularly just want to see if they do anything with jihads. Jihads, to me, if they're doing all the crusade stuff, I feel like jihads should be able to kind of scale in a similar direction as well. Even maybe to the point of doing what kind of they tried to do back in the Middle Ages, where the crusades happened and they're just like, hey, everyone, we need to kind of work together for this, and then like make like a whole event chain to try to get a jihad going, stuff like that. I could see that being cool. But anyway, that is all for this week. We will see what's happening. I think Holy Fury is coming out very soon. Let me actually look that up real quick. They do have a date. It does have a date. Fury release date. It does exist. Oh, bam! There it is, November 13th. So, wow, we've only got 2 weeks. So there's going to be one more dev diary. And then stay tuned on the channel because we are going to be able to play, or we are going to play this out and do as much as we can with this. Also, I love how they're calling it pagan-themed Holy Fury DLC. It's 50-50. It's very much Catholic. So, anyway, I will see you on the next one. Bye. Bye.